Hey everybody, it's Terry. Welcome back to my workshop. From what you can see here, I'll bet you're already thinking that the subject of this video is a little bit different than the fixed-wing RC models that I usually talk about. The fact is, this model is a lot different from those fixed-wing airplanes, but I think you will find it very interesting. So keep watching and I will tell you all about it. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with Hacker Motors. They are a company in Germany that produces top-shelf brushless motors, which are easily distinguishable by their purple color. Hacker Motor Shop USA is the official distributor for Hacker Motors in the United States. And Para RC is the brand under Hacker, which produces radio-controlled power paragliders. And that's what we're going to talk about today. This is the Para RC Cloud 1.5, and it is a 3-channel powered paraglider. Not only does it come with a Hacker brushless motor, but it also has a few purple anodized aluminum parts, which leave no doubt about this model's Hacker origins. Let's start off by talking a little bit about what a powered paraglider is. In basic terms, it is an aircraft that uses a soft parachute-like wing, and suspended below that wing is a paramotor. The paramotor contains a power system for thrust and also a radio system for control. Now, I've already mentioned that this is a 3-channel model. So the 3 channels break down to a speed control to manage the throttle and also 2 servos, one on either side of the paramotor. And you'll notice that the servo arms on these servos are exceptionally long. And in that sense, these servo arms emulate the arms on a person who would be suspended below a parachute. And they pull on the risers of the canopy to make the paramotor steer right or left. The Cloud 1.5 is mostly factory assembled. The wing is made out of ripstop nylon, and it consists of a lot of different panels which are sewn together. There are also a lot of lines which connect it to the paramotor, but all of that stuff is done at the factory. So all you really need to do is unpackage it and unfold it. With the paramotor, this assembly is made up of fiberglass pieces which are bolted together. And really the only assembly that is required here is to attach the motor mount with cage to the back of this base assembly. The Cloud 1.5 includes most of the electronics that you'll need. I've already mentioned the Hacker brushless motor. This is an 1100 kV unit. The APC 10.5 propeller is included as well. Now, it's worth noting that my kit did not include the spacer, which allows you to center the propeller on the prop adapter. The good news here is that I, like most of you, have about 1 million of those spacers in my stash of spare propellers, so that was an easy fix to make. Moving on, we have a Hacker 55 amp speed control, and the included servos are full-size digital units. What you'll need to provide is a receiver that's capable of handling at least 3 channels, and that's most receivers. I'm using a Spectrum AR410, which fits nicely just below the servos. You will also need to provide a 3-cell lithium polymer battery with a capacity of 3,000 to 5,000 milliamp hours. The servos require a dedicated mixing function in order to fly the Cloud 1.5 properly. This mix is a little bit like Elevon or VTEL mixing, but not quite. And you have a few different options for how to satisfy this mixing requirement. If you use a Jetty brand radio, Hacker offers a downloadable profile which will automatically configure the mixes in your transmitter. Another option for those of us who do not use Jetty radios is to manually configure the mixes in the transmitter yourself. The third option, and the one that I chose, is to utilize Hacker's external mixer. This is a small circuit board that plugs in between the servos and receiver to configure all of the necessary mixing. It basically makes it a plug-and-play option. It's very important to make sure that your servo arms are positioned correctly. When the servo is neutral, the bottom edge on this top section of the servo arm should be horizontal, and both of my arms were offset from that position quite a bit out of the box. So to correct that, I removed the screw that holds the arm to the output shaft of the servo, and then removed the servo arm off of the servo, and then repositioned the arm back in place in the correct position. The flight battery is attached to the paramotor using adhesive hook and loop tape. If you want, you could also incorporate a hook and loop strap for a little bit of extra security. There are 2 possible mounting locations for the battery, and the location you choose will likely depend on the size, or more accurately, the weight of the battery that you're flying with. And that's because the balance of the paramotor, just like with fixed-wing airplanes, is a critical factor that you'll need to manage. And the manual for the Cloud 1.5 does a good job of describing where and how to balance this model. When I was testing the Cloud 1.5, I used 2 different size batteries. The smaller of those is a 3-cell, 3,000 milliamp hour battery, and I found when using this one, it provided the best balance when mounted horizontally on this bottom panel. The other battery is a little bit larger. This is a 3-cell 4400 milliamp hour battery, and it provided the best balance when mounted vertically against the backrest. If you are wondering where the 1.5 and Cloud 1.5 comes from, it refers to the wing area, which is 1.5 square meters. For those of us who do not speak metric, that equates to more than 16 square feet. That is a big wing. Thankfully, this all folds down nicely. It will actually fit into this small pouch, so it's easy to transport. Now, the flip side of having such a large wing is that it's only practical to fly on calm days, and really, the calmer the better. You probably find that once the wind reaches 5 miles an hour or more, this model gets tossed around quite a bit, and you may even have trouble making forward progress into the wind. Once you have unpacked the Cloud 1.5 at the field, you want to be very mindful of where and how you position it in the pits. If you just set things on the ground willy-nilly, a random breeze could come by and inflate the wing, and that would drag your airplane down the field. You definitely don't want that. So what I like to do is make sure that the wing is fully collapsed on the ground, and then I set a beach towel on top of it. And that ensures that it doesn't interact with the breeze until I'm ready to fly. I have a simple technique for launching the Cloud 1.5 that works very consistently. After spreading the wing out on the ground, I grab the paramotor by the bottom side, making sure that my fingers are well clear of the propeller. I then take at least one step forward while raising my arm through an upward arc. The Cloud 1.5 can be a very docile model, but it does require an experienced pilot. And the reason for that is quite simple. If you make abrupt throttle changes, it can cause the paramotor to swing like a pendulum beneath the wing. And if things really get out of hand, it can actually cause a crash. So this model looks and flies its best when you learn to make smooth throttle transitions. And when you've done that, this becomes a very graceful and relaxing aircraft to fly. Once you have become comfortable with flying the Cloud 1.5, you can actually use its unique throttle response to perform a little trick. If you quickly add in full throttle, it will cause the paramotor to tightly loop around the wing. It's a little bit ugly and probably a little bit risky, but it's a fun way to occasionally add a little bit of razzle-dazzle to an otherwise low-key and relaxing flight. Have I mentioned that this model is also a night flyer? There's a set of LED lights on top of the paramotor that point upward, and these lights illuminate the entire wing when the model is in flight, and this makes it very easy to see at night. So if you've never flown an RC model at night before, this is probably an ideal way to get started. This concludes my overview of the Para RC Cloud 1.5 from Hacker Motors. Make sure that you also check out the written article in Model Aviation magazine, and as usual, I will close things out here with some additional flight footage. Thanks for watching.